Hey, yo, check this out. We got a real great service provided for you right now. If you're a serious artist looking to perfect your craft, get your music out there in front of millions and millions of views, then look no further than right here. Hip Hop News, Uncensored, Raw Hip Hop News, and the Uncensored Truth Podcast are now running specials to promote your product. If you're serious about promoting your product on YouTube, email me right here at dlsmediainc1@gmail.com or my brother OGod at hiphopun.com.
Welcome to another
for further
episode of the
information.
Uncensored Truth
If you're serious
Podcast
about
with
your
your brother
craft,
OGod.
very affordable
And
pricing.
sitting across from
Let's
me is
go.
my
Wait no
co-host.
further. Look into it right now. Emails in the description box. Hit us up. You already know.
Tuesday episode of the Uncensored Truth
Yes.
Podcast. Got some kings in the building to talk some real business, boss kind of stuff, man. Oh God, before we get started, that was good, my brother.
Man, just chilling, man. I'm excited to have this conversation. We talked about this for a long time, but we finally, made it happen, and it's happening at a perfect time because we said once we got settled, when we in our personal lives, that we want to really start kicking off interviews and bringing people to the forefront that could really help the people.
Facts.
And we were just sitting in the car, man. We was going through listening to one of Khonsu's videos about capitalism. I think it's called The Science of Capitalism, was in the description box. And that was real dope. So we got some questions about that. So I wish I would have seen that video earlier, man. I'm like, damn. I said that to myself in the car, the demonstration and everything. But yeah, man, we got two good brothers right here, man. One brother I work with personally on a regular basis, Darrin, Marion. He does SEO for hiphopun.com, and a real good friend of mine. And the other brother we want to bring in, and his brother Khonsu. But I'm gonna let them introduce themselves because I can't do it better than they could do it. But so yeah, we'll start with brother Khonsu, and then Darrin, you can introduce yourself, telling people what you do. Microphone is yours.
Yep, definitely, man. Peace and power to everybody out there. Peace to brother OGod, and peace to the listening audience, man. It's a pleasure to share in a dynamic conversation. I really love finance and economics as an empowerment tool. So I'm really looking forward to engaging in some good conversation today.
Yes, sir.
Word up.
Brother Darrin.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Yeah, Darrin, Marion, retail SEO. I help people get found on Google. So I enjoy have a background in economics and finance, and I'm really about free market economy, man. That's why I love the internet so much, because it's the ultimate free market. So
Right. So tell me, brother Khonsu, we were talking earlier, and Darrin, y'all kind of go back, y'all started both in Grambling. I want to know about first from brother Khonsu, how you got started. First talk about playing for Eddie Robinson. Let's talk about that. How was it going to a historically black college? And both of y'all can answer that, playing for Eddie Robinson, because we love Eddie Robinson, as kids. So talk about that, brother.
Well, he was a father before a coach. It was more of a fatherly thing. Believe it or not, football was very secondary. It was about your character and your maturity. And he was very, very strict about your parents. Like he would talk to your parents first and keep a dialogue with your parents, literally. And it was amazing how he kept up with every one of the players' parents and their personal lives, and would know exactly where you should be and where you shouldn't be. It was just a real deep situation with Coach Robinson. He was very big on African empowerment, very, very big about, blacks in education. And that's he was an extension of my father that really gave me tools. He was like, son, you're playing football, but you're getting an education. And he would say, I don't care if you rush for 2,500 yards this year, you will not make my team if you're failing in school. And he meant it. He definitely meant it. We had gifted players that were literally taken off the team. He did not care about any pro prospects or none of that. I'm sure that Brother D is going to tell you about that. It was not a game. And, from that, from playing football, it was more of a character building thing for me, man. I played for a year and a half. I left subsequently because my mother had passed. My father was deathly ill at the time when she passed, so I had to take care of my family. So I moved back to Chicago and helped my father and my sister. So I played for a year and a half, was getting ready to actually coming into the new football season, I was going to be a starter. I was really proud about that. I worked really hard. It was hard to start for Coach Robinson.
Gant was leaving, wasn't he?
Yeah. And then he was leaving and Coach Williams was coming in. And it was definitely a big time for Grambling because Grambling was really getting recognition for their football program, even though it was known. But, you know, the big schools didn't want to talk about how they was producing top scholarly students that could play football very well. They didn't want to talk about that. But, yeah, so that's it in a nutshell about my football career, man.
Eddie Robinson and the marching band. It never was anything about, you know what I mean? Eddie Robinson and that marching band. You heard about Grambling, you know what I mean?
Right. Tigers, boy.
Absolutely.
Something you forgot about, though, man. Hell, son. He come over to the cowbell every morning, man. Take your ID. Hell, son, get up. Your mama have you in here, and your papa, your daddy got you. Boy, give me your ID.
Right.
Hell, what you doing?
So what got you two brothers into? Because both of y'all deal with y'all, perspective fields, but we all, come together in what we do. What got y'all into wanting to do that? Particularly what you do now as a business, and how, is that going to help, the Black community as a whole? What you're doing right now? Anybody can go first if they want.
Hey, Khonsu, you want to go first, man?
Oh, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Well, what I had a coffee shop. I was in the coffee business, and I still am. But what I would notice is I would never they'd have all kind of coffee events locally, and I would never get an invite. There'd be the caffeine crawl. There'd be all these, just, you would name it. There'd be an event, and I just so happened wouldn't show up on the list. So I figured, it's like, man, fuck it, man. Let me just get on the list, and I'm gonna start ranking nationally, and I'm just gonna play the national game. So I started taking classes on search engine optimization, and then I started helping people. I really started helping myself. Then I started helping other people, and then I started charging for it. Now, one of my real reasons for getting involved with it outside of that is with SEO, I'm able to put people wherever I want to on Google on the first, second, third, fourth, fifth page. And my goal is to have all Black business on that first page. Because when you have Black business on it, whoever's on that first page, that's who's getting chosen first. And so if the only choice is Black, the only choice is Black-owned business, then there's a good chance the Black business is going to get more reps, get a look. So that's really what got me doing SEO, which is search engine optimization.
Darrin, I got a question for you real quick. Why don't you think that you see, or why don't you hear more about Black SEOs? Because when God and I really started beginning the business within YouTube, and Hip Hop News Uncensored started doing the numbers that it was doing, and you guys joined up together as a team, I had no idea what an SEO was. And the more me and you began to build and we start talking, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Why isn't there more of us out here? So talk about why you don't see a lot more SEOs of our skin complexion. If they are out there, why don't you hear about them?
Well, generally, man, there's it's just something that is not a profession that we think about. It's just like being a coffee roaster. It's something that people never think about. It's this mystical thing. How do people get on Google? And it's none of us really think about it. I know it was a secondary thought to me as a business owner. I didn't know anything about it until I wanted to show up, and then I started to read and learn more about it. I think a lot of times as business owners, we got so much other stuff going on that we are unable, it's just something else that goes on the back burner. And I often find that when I'm talking to business owners myself, and I say, hey, let's think about this now. This is your marketing. It's a longer term play. We want something that's some instant gratification. With SEO, it's going to take a few months to really build a solid profile and to be able to solidly build your rankings where this things will stick. So if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it goes hand in hand. My bad to cut you off real quick. It goes hand in hand with the hip hop game, because if you want to market your product independently within YouTube or everything like that, we know Google and YouTube go hand in hand. And if you got to be seen out there in a pool with so many other people, so that's definitely important. It's vital in this game.
Right. I want to talk, brother Khonsu. Grew up Chicago, right? If I'm not mistaken. I want to talk about some of the businesses. Say it again.
Yeah, Chi-Town forever, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, we were talking, before we did the interview, you talked about some of the businesses that you have. I want you to go down the list, and tell us about some of your businesses and how you got into those, how you got started with those.
Well, the motivation, I kind of start with the latter first. The motivation was legacy. I watched my mother and father work extremely hard and couldn't leave me anything. They wanted to. They had all the motivation to do it, but they couldn't leave me nothing. I had some life insurance that I didn't know how to manage because I didn't have elders around me. I was 17 years old when I lost my parents. They both passed 3 months apart from each other. Father passed on his birthday, and it was just me and my sister. I worked as a security guard. I was making $3.35 an hour. Back then, that was the minimum wage. I'm probably telling my age, but that was the minimum wage in Chicago at the time. I had a lot of hurt and repressed fear that most Black men suffer from because we're put in a position to try to emulate stoic white males who have greater opportunities per capita. So I felt like I got to prove something to America. And it was becoming very frustrating. And I was domesticated to get a job. That's what my parents told me. That's what their parents told them. And, I was trying to be a socialist in a capitalist government. And it hit me. The wheels started spinning. And I'm like, man, the tire's spinning in mud. The harder I work, the richer somebody else get. And I was fired. I was a lead political advisor for the city of Chicago for the biggest union in the country, which is SEIU Local 1. I was a political advisor and a contract negotiator. Was trained in contract law and accounting disbursement. So I received the training from the job, and they fired me at 40 years old because they put money behind a political candidate that pretty much wasn't going to win, and they knew it. They lost about $8 million out the budget, and they said they could no longer take care of our division. So they invited us to lunch. We were sitting in the lunchroom, and my president at the time, Tom Bollinoff, I don't mind telling about his ass. I'm going to put his name out there because I appreciate him for firing me. He let us know that he had to let the entire division go. Right after, the day before, he had given me a raise and told me that the division was looking great. Now, mind you, I was a lead of over 600 people, a young Black man that had the lead of a national political conference. So I had access to politics on a high level, dealing with lobbyists and things of that nature. And I had to look at my people and found out at the same time that I was being terminated along with them. Now, these are young Black people, Hispanics, minorities mostly that work for the labor unions, and immigrants that were just buying homes, just had babies. They were in tears. It was like, Brother Albert, that's my birth name. How could you do this to us? You just had a lead meeting the day before saying everything was looking great, and now we get fired. I said, no, I had nothing to do with it. And that's when I was birthed into learning capitalism and understanding the importance of ownership. So it motivated me, and I went and owned everything that I did. Unfortunately, I did not have mentorship, even though I was gainfully employed. So the first thing I did, I went to the streets because I'm a product of it. And I used my understanding of capitalism in the streets and did pretty well. I understood the politics, stayed out of trouble. The people that were in the streets looked out for me. They said, nah, man, it's getting dark out here. Take your ass in the house. I wanted to hang out and get into trouble. They say, nah, this is you good, but you're not that good. This ain't for you. You need to go to school. And unfortunately for me, even the thugs on the street were mentors. They would help me. I would go to school at night. I was a security officer during the day. finished up my degree in accounting, and was going to actually take a job with a major company. And one of my cousins said, "No, don't do that, man. You are a company." And I looked at what I learned, and I was afraid, but I went on and did that, man. And I started, my first company was a consulting company that dealt in financiering and financial procurement, and economic displacement, business startups. And then I branched off into a real estate company that dealt with wholesale procurement of real estate properties, commercial and residential. And then from there, I went and started a microfunding company. I actually didn't do the microfunding, but I hired people to do it for me. And they created vehicles that allowed me to build credit unions throughout the city and the country, actually. And then last but not least, I'm a capitalist, and I looked at it from a venture capitalist point of view. I actually started a weave business, hair weave, believe it or not.
Wow.
One of the biggest in the Midwest, actually.
Wow. Impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Brother Khonsu, I have a question for you. You started your statement as saying you are a socialist living in a capitalistic world. A lot of us out here will act like we act cool and act like we know what the two terms mean, but a lot of us are real financially illiterate. So why don't you break down for the people listening who have no idea but really genuinely want to learn the difference between a socialist and a capitalist?
Yeah, when we talk about socialism, we're dealing with political science and social steering and engineering. And it is kind of a quasi function of SEO. SEO has pulled socialism into the capitalistic world. But socialism in its orthodox manner is the way in which we exchange each other and talk to each other as capital. We would use it just like we would money. And we would also create political movements around socialist parties. One particular country that I always talk about is France. I mean, since 2000, they lost 60,000 millionaires that moved up and said, because they couldn't go in the privatized free market. They was always told they had to divest their income in state tax, and they could not defer their taxes to be able to be liberal with their money. But in the United States, in 2015, not talking about the entire history of the United States, 300,000 new millionaires in just 2015. And this is my answer to Black oppression, because as socialists, we were again domesticated to argue socialist issues like civil rights and things of that nature, but we did not understand being a capitalist, not promoting capitalism, because that is a geomilitary political complex, and that is just a facade. Capitalism is the direct republic free market of an individual's ability to ascertain and retain as much buying power with their dollars, whereas a socialist would operate under political coercion and try to create a platform to organize and generate people for a political premise.
As Black people are capitalists at heart, regardless in our soul, we just don't realize that we get such under this gate. You know what I mean? And we don't know how to get out of the gate. It's hard. We don't want to fucking sit in no job. We don't want to be told what to do at heart. We just have that natural capitalistic soul, but we just don't know how to get out of it. We don't understand the terminology, and it starts in the classroom. I mean, we weren't taught these things. It wasn't brought to us. We don't understand that we were kings and queens growing up. Our education started on the slave ship, so yeah, it started early for sure.
Right. So, brother, I want y'all to both talk about, since we getting into this, both of y'all, Indiana, Chicago, I know they're pretty close to each other. I'm not sure how close, but similar. I mean, from talking to my brother Darrin, he says a lot of similarities.
Midwest.
Yeah, the Midwest. The Midwest is just the Midwest. We all know, about that. But some of the biggest problems in Chicago and Indiana right now, can y'all tell us what some of the biggest problems is and some things that we could do as Black men, to remedy those problems in the inner city? And brother Darrin, you can start first.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. I think right now we both cities are suffering a crisis of capitalism, where there hasn't been the infrastructure that's put in place to show that entrepreneurship is the way out. You can't make enough jobs. You can't hire enough people to hire out of the 30% unemployment rate that most black males between the age of 20 or 21 and 45 experience. So the only way that we're going to overcome that is through creating jobs. And the only way you can create a job is through entrepreneurship. And that's where we go out and you find a need and you fill it. If you look at people in jail, you got somebody in jail, somebody wants to have soups, then there's economies that set up there. So it just naturally, the economics are just something that naturally happens, and it's something that we're trained out of. So that's pretty much it. I mean, that's in a nutshell. Is entrepreneurship is going to be our way. It's going to be our way out as black men. So as black men, we should go in, do things like, and to kind of rewind, I grew up as a Reaganomics, as a Reagan kid. I worked on a Reagan campaign when I was in 5th grade. So I started the Black Republicans at Grambling State University. So it was, I've always been a free market, if not corporatist at first. I, really learned free marketism and capitalism as a way. And that was always an option to me. That was always, this is how you do it. As you go out and you start a business. My mentors were older white men, who had started their own real estate company, who had started their own, who were stockbrokers, who were financial advisors, who were business owners, store owners. These were gentlemen that I grew up knowing. And those were people who were my mentors. So it's kind of funny how we both are coming along the same path. We, come along a little bit different paths, but we cross each other and we sit here both talking about how entrepreneurship is the way out.
Yep.
So it's just hilarious to me, man.
You said you started something, I don't know if you said in college or Black Republicans. That struck my attention because historically, we all know that blacks were swayed to be Democrats. And I grew up, it was Clinton, it was Al Gore, it was Democrat, mm-hmm. Democrat. Anything you thought of. And then Democrats usually historically relate to black, but it seems to be on the contrary when it comes to money and capitalism versus socialism. So speak on that. Why does it seem as though black people are so steered toward, and early on, toward the Democratic Party as opposed to the Republican?
I have no idea, honestly. A Republican government really literally is a government by the few. So it's a representative government. So if anything that black folks would want, we would want to, as a minority, we would want to be represented. Even if you look back to, I wrote an article about lynching. Since I think the lynching against a federal lynching ban has been brought up over 100 times in the past 100 years, and every single time it's shot down by Democrats. Now, I have no clue. I have no idea why any black man in period would want to ride with that. Maybe somebody else can fill me in, but that never was an option. That never was something that it was always, you want to be represented as a business owner. You want your voice to be represented. You're the person that's going to be a job creator, and so we're in a system that rewards the creator. So that's what you need to do is to create.
Right. I agree. Khonsu, I want you to talk about it was an article that came out and we talked about it, Sam, man. Mm-hmm. And Darrin, you can chime in on this as well. Under Trump, they're saying that I'm not sure if you've seen the article that entrepreneurship, or small black businesses have went up about 400% under Trump, and mainly like in the South. You know what I mean? It's an article that came out. So what do you think about the whole Trump era? And which I was just talking about a few minutes ago made me think about the miseducation of the Negro and how black, we don't know about, socialism. We don't know the difference between capitalism. We don't know the difference between the Democrat, Republican. So talk about that, the whole black people's ignorance of the Trump era, in the employment, the small business, going up under Trump. What do you think about
definitely. That was inevitable because Trump represents free market. And he represents privatized free market. And the reason being is because we are in an international age of business. One can speak to China from their living room with their pajamas You have to have a free market mind. Those that are comfortable with a democratic means of income are in for a rude awakening in the next 10 years. They're in for a definite rude awakening because the dollar per capita is going to hyperinflate. The rate of the hyperinflation, no one knows because it's hard to kind of judge that. But once it hyperinflates, if you do not have an organic means of producing revenue organically, you're going to have a problem because the companies cannot operate in a democratic society. The democratic society was built under the auspicity of chattel slavery. And so what Trump is speaking on is that the middle class is perpetually creating rich and poor. And because it is, the have and have-nots are causing an economic impasse. So because he's a private conglomerate venture capitalist that happened to become the president of the United States, quite naturally, Congress is not going to like that because Trump knows how to defer taxes. If you pay attention, when he was asked to show his tax incomes, he said, income tax, he said, over my dead body. So I'm not showing you my income tax because I don't have to pay income tax. That's under Title 26 through Title 30 of the Department of Revenue Code, the income tax code. Those things are voluntary based on your registration and how you carry yourself. We are all individual companies. We should not be operating in our persons. We shouldn't be purchasing any financial promissory notes in our name. We should be operating corporately and using holding companies to withhold our assets. We should be creating family limited partnerships, trusts, and wills, and operating under the auspicity of a corporate manifest, creating corporate veils and operating in privacy. And that's what Trump is advocating. And because the reason why the Afro-American does not understand that is because they've been domesticated as a chattel slave. But we were indentured, meaning indenturement means contract. We were a trust to a larger company that gave subsidies to these plantations that were holding companies. The assets were the slaves, and the byproduct was the production, which was textiles, tobacco, alcohol. These were byproducts that they would use for import-export. This is why Clinton was so detrimental in the fall of the economy of the United States, signing off on NATO and NAFTA and things of that nature. And Trump is putting a stop to that literally right now, particularly with NAFTA. He also let NATO know that we're pulling out. We're not going to keep paying the 8% as we are the major company, and the other countries are only paying 3%. That's not fair to the people of America. And we got soldiers under democratic law that's been over there for almost 30 years in the same war that's been going on quietly for 30 years. And since the Reagan era, since we're Grenada, we have been engaged in the Middle East. And that is because we have these under the table democratic tax laws that put us in a position to pay when we shouldn't have to. If I go in the free market, like Trump talks about, I should have the choice if I want to identify with federal promissory notes. Federal promissory notes have absolutely no value. They only have intrinsic value under trade. So I have a right to create debt to protect any legal action against me. So that means I have a right to operate as an LLC and separate myself from any assets that are tax driven. Most assets are bought with US dollars and they're tax based. And that's the problem in the democratic economic structure. Everything that you buy has a tax. That's why you get a receipt, but you can't write the receipt off. But if you're giving me a ledger back and I'm giving you a federal note, I'm conducting business. What do you mean I'm an employee of who? If I give you $1 and you give me a receipt back, that is a business exchange.
Facts.
That dollar don't belong to me. And so that's what's the problem with the democratic structure. And this is why Trump is really the best thing happened for black people, to be honest.
Wow. You know what?
Facts.
Off of that, I got to ask you a question to shift gears a little bit toward hip hop when it comes to Trump, because we all seen what Kanye West did. He had the MAGA hat on. We all know that in mainstream media, all we hear about is Trump is he's a racist, he's a bigot, he's this, he's that, he's this, that, and the third. You feel me? Right. So why is it? Why do you think that Kanye? Or what do you think about Kanye West? Do you think that he's on more of the lines of the capitalistic point of view as you brothers are? Do you think he's out there as a distraction to piss off black people? What do you think about that? Both. I would love to hear both of your perspectives.
Yeah, honestly, I think Kanye is he's a distraction. He's somebody is being used as a distraction. He's being driven, and there's everything around him to show that he's being driven. To keep the whole Kardashian, I hate to say it, but the whole Kardashian, keeping up with Kardashian Hollywood movement is anti small government, or at least they would like us to believe that. Yeah, I think he's controlled right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he's a marketable entity. He's used as, capital disbursement. He's dispersing capital and creating open shares of market, because in economy, there is a thing called competition. And with competition comes imperfection. And with imperfection, you're going to get ignorance and complexity. And that's needed in order to stimulate a market. So when we talk about hip hop, if you notice, the rising of independent free market owners that absolutely don't need a label anymore for distribution. So they can't take publishing and copyrights anymore. What they do is they create a 360 and take your private independent free market sales from your concert production and all that kind of stuff. So what they're doing is they're creating another level of scarcity. And scarcity is the number one enemy of anything economic. If I make it scarce, then I'm going to subject you to that scarcity. You're going to see and feel the inequality. And then once I know that you feel it's unequal, I can go into competition. So basically what that means is Sony, Warner Brothers, Time Warner, a division of Warner Brothers, Universal, and Atlantic each own a portion of each other. But they create the competition so that you choose. But they own the choice. It's just like in politics. In the democratic structure, they own the choice. You can't create an independent choice. So when an artist signs to a music label, he is signing to a conglomerate of subsidized companies that are under one holding company banner. Everything that the artist receives is a tax write-off against the company. The salaries and all that kind of stuff, those are recoupment sales. So what they tell the artist is that you have to be an independent contractor. Even though you're employed, you're at work for hire, and you are responsible for generating your own revenue, because this is an investment and you have to pay the investment back. So they treat each artist as a share within the company, and the board votes on the distribution of the shares, because you have to stimulate the market share in any effective economy. You got to create imperfection, meaning you have to create companies that appear to be greater than other companies when they're owned by the same entity. And so when you look at a Kanye West, he's being treated as a company. He's a franchise. So he creates the imperfection, which drives sales even greater. If you notice, when Kanye came out, his album still sold phenomenally. It didn't need to sell as before because he's already a marginal brand. So that didn't have to happen. So definitely, I hope that the brothers and sisters that are in the hip hop market continue to do what they're doing and become more and more independent and control their own distribution.
Yeah, they fail to realize that as a corporation, we all are guaranteed equal protections. So there's no reason why my small company shouldn't look like and shouldn't receive the same protection that a Walmart should receive, or that a Sony should receive. And that's the thing that, that's why I'm glad we have the internet, because the internet is that equalizer. It allows a small guy to show up and play on the same playing field as that Sony, as that Warner Bros., as those large conglomerates.
Facts. I want to talk. What do y'all think about? I'm sure y'all both aware of the new Dame Dash and the culture vulture, aspect of pretty much, non-blacks, owning, and we talked about ownership and controlling the music, the distribution, pretty much everything, creating these 360 deals. Now, Dame Dash and Lawyer Cohen, went on to the Breakfast Club, called him out, and pretty much exposed himself in front of the world. We did a lot of commentary on it here on the Uncensored Truth, podcast. So what do y'all think about the culture vulture aspect? Because all around, all the platforms you on are owned by non-blacks. We understand that. What can we do, to kind of counteract that, and yeah, what can we do? Both of y'all could take that. I'll stop right there.
Hey, go ahead, man.
Okay, well, number one, Dame Dash is my hero. Peace and shout out to Dame. That's the man. I appreciate him taking the chance on stepping out there on Breakfast Club and educating through tough love. That's what he had to do. And I applaud him because the Loud Cohens, the reason why they're able to come in and usurp a culture is because the price tag that's put on the culture. We generate 1.4 billion in gross domestic product, yet we sell less than we average, and we only pull less than a percentage, 0.5% of that 1.4 billion. So when you understand that, and they control the distribution, they're going to control the market. They can control how many copies are distributed to other outlets like Best Buy or FYE or those kind of store outlets. They control the distribution flow. So because they control the distribution flow, they control scarcity. They can make a product scarce and raise the demand, or they can make it plentiful and kill it. So what Dame Dash was saying is that own every aspect of your product, from the production to the distribution to the promotion, and keep everything in-house and pay everybody up front. Even if you do got to hire somebody that's outside of your race, pay them up front. You're the boss. If you pay them up front and they at a work for hire, you're only paying them for their contract, and then they can go about their business. And if independent Black owners took that stance, it would hurt the economy when it comes to those that control the scarcity. We should have control of the scarcity if we're generating 1.4 billion. We should be able to control the scarcity. You should not be able to just come in and distribute artists that don't come from your culture without any regulation. And that's what's happening.
Yeah, that's the economic principle called the law of marginal utility. So, yeah, man, that's we control the demand curve, and so we control the supply curve and the demand curve. Something that with Dame Dash, it set me in the overdrive was his interview on the Breakfast Club. That was fantastic. He was just like, man, you a boss? I'm putting you on. I'm not his boss.
That's
I'm
right.
putting my man on. So, that's kind of how I saw Cohen, and I can respect what he's done because he's created a market. He was there. Remember, he started out as a club promoter. And so maybe he was a guy that created that market. So I respect that. What I don't respect though is that he's turned into a more of a corporatist, and that's where that's really not showing love. That's really not creating allowing the market, putting an unfair restriction on the market. And whenever you do that, that's when you have issues. Like you said, scarcity.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Brother Khonsu, you are in accounting, money management. You definitely understand financial literacy. So my question is in regard to hip hop. Oh God and I talk on the Uncensored Truth Podcast all the time, unfortunately, about some of our favorite artists from the 90s and early 2000s and how they find themselves in trouble with the IRS and Uncle Sam. Talk about the importance of financial literacy. Once we start gaining the financial success that we all seek to gain and where have you, the importance of understanding your dollar, saving your dollar, and taxes and various things like that.
Well, generally, when you say a company, right, a company can be a C Corp, it can be an S Corp, it can be an LLC, it can be incorporated. And these are just tax structures, how the taxes are allocated to the owners and or board members. Depending upon if it's a sole proprietorship, it could be a partnership. It depends on how the business is structured. But regardless of that, in the hip hop world, or even I also equate this to athletics because we dominate both markets culturally. Most athletes, professional athletes, and this same ratio applies to artists in the hip hop market, and the hip hop market only. Let me make this clear. A rock star, like let's say Aerosmith, they still getting residuals, and they ain't got to do not one other concert. It's the reason why Jay-Z still got to do a concert. It's because of the earlier deals that Jay-Z signed to. Now, by the time he got to Rockefeller, they did a consignment deal, which was performance-based. And the Master P's, the P. Diddy's, And Rockefeller made sure that it would never happen again. They didn't try to do that, but they were ingenious enough to do performance-based partnerships. And the label said never again. So they changed the payment disbursement and started creating 360. If you're an artist and you do a 360 deal, you have to come to them as a company. You cannot come to them as a person, and you refuse to be a work for hire employee. You ask to be a partner with unlimited distribution, and you split the cost 50-50. You create your own credit capital conglomerate by building corporations and building credit within them, and you fund yourself and pay it at 50% off. And get that 50% out of the way so you can recoup 100% of your sales. Do not give them concerts. Do not give them any kind of merchandise. Let's look at Travis Scott and why Nicki Minaj is mad at Travis Scott. She's mad at Travis Scott because he's beating her in the merchandising game, because he bundled his merchandise in with his music, because he knows that corner person-to-person sales of music don't exist anymore. Either we snatching them off YouTube, or either we getting them from other digital markets. So what they had to do, they had to add a tangible element, which took the place of the tangible element called the CD or the cassette tape. They replaced that with a sweater, a t-shirt, a hat, or any kind of bundle, so that they can merchandise it and then make it scarce. Because once you digitize music, it's no longer a scarcity. So the artist got smart to that. I got to make it scarce. So I'm giving you Travis Scott limited edition sweaters along with my CD. So they would superimpose the sale into the sound scan bar, and it would be a complete scale, but it would be marketed as a tangible sale traditionally, because an item was sold that wasn't digitized. The RIAA, which is the regulation of music distribution, has not come up with the technology to count the amount of sales. This is why artists like Drake that did very big on internet streams are starting to find out they got robbed of their actual streams that was supposed to be counted. And so that's where the shift is. And I applaud the artists that release without the hoopla. If you notice, artists like Black Thought, phenomenal album. I thought he had the album of the year personally. And other artists like them, they're releasing, but you don't hear nothing about their release. Because that's a foregone conclusion. The action is the concerts. I'm going to release this. I'm going to become popular because I'm going to hire somebody like Darrin. I'm going to go SEO crazy. Then everybody going to know me popular-wise. So I can go to a promoter and say, I got 20,000 on my YouTube platform. I got 100,000 on my Instagram platform. Here are my demographics for this area. All you need is 3% of the demographics to show up. They filling this venue up. So the promoter's going to look at the numbers verified, they validated, he SEO certified, boom, that's money straight in the door. That's why these younger artists are getting so much upfront money. The problem is they don't know how to manage the money with understanding tax deferment and putting money in their name all the time, because we believe in ownership. No, it's control. You control everything and own nothing. I don't own anything that I possess. I just have control of it. I don't want to own none of it. I don't want any other liability. I don't own my house. I don't own my cars. I control all of it, though. I put gas in it. It's mine. I don't own any of my bank accounts. I control the money in the account, though.
That's dope. A wealth of information, man, right there. Yeah, man. Yeah, go ahead, Sam, man.
Nah, that was real dope. So I'm basically that was that kind of blew my mind a little bit. So what you're saying is don't own. Don't strive to own your house, because all we hear is ownership. And now you're saying kind of the opposite of that, Brother Khonsu. Why don't you elaborate on that a little bit for us?
Definitely.
Well, you can own land and just build a house if you choose to. I mean, most of the time, what hurts a home buyer, all mortgages are 97% false, because you're paying interest. You're not paying for the house. Once 48 hours pass on that contract, they're already blocking the debt to be written off in the next quarter of March, no matter who you are.
That's right.
Because you already got the debt against you on your credit. You made 12 little payments, and you got $250,000 sitting on your debt marker in your debt to ratio income in your credit. because you wanted to own it. You wanted the deed in your name.
Right.
When it doesn't matter because you're dealing with a bank entity that is a financial institution. And most of the time, we don't need an agent that deals in real estate to buy a house. You can knock on the door and create your own private security agreement, make it a promissory note, register it in your county that the house is being made, and then register it through the UCC so that it's international and it's bonded because it's made public. And then the 3 credit bureaus are going to pick it up anyway because you attach both LIBOR numbers from the state and local, and they're going to sweep UCCs like they do all the time. Every contract in America has a UCC1 clause, every single one. When you look at a real estate mortgage, it's going to be 16 to 17 pages long. It's going to have a jury waiver and a homestead waiver. Why would you do that on property they're claiming is yours? Because the minute you make it a promissory note, they mortgage that promissory note. They kill the trustor, what used to be you. You become the beneficiary. They become the trustor. The title falls in the hand of the trustee, and the deed becomes the collateral. So if you do not pay under Article 9 of the UCC under strict foreclosure, they close on the deed, which gives no action to the title. So now you could have paid 28.9 months on a 29-year mortgage, have 2 months left. If you're late 120 days, they can foreclose and wipe out all those 28 years. Every last one of them. Instead, lease the house. If you default, you only owe for the paper. If the lease is a year long, if the lease is 5 years long, you only owe that. File bankruptcy against the loan, let the debt fall on the corporation, let it crawl and crumble, and go open up another court. Let them have the house with its useless value. It only has appreciated value at a loan to value rate and a fair market value based on the economy of the real estate, which is controlled once again by scarcity. If you move in a neighborhood where every house is open, there's no scarcity. Guess what? No value. You bottom out because the scarcity rule is gone. But if I own land and I build a house and there's no other house within miles, my value stays the same. I don't lose that. I don't have to deal with FMV and LTV because I own the land. I don't have to worry about that. And also, the other caveat to that, I don't want to be too wordy, because Darrin knows exactly everything I'm saying. But you also want to look at unincorporated areas so that you're not dealing with the municipal taxes if you're operating as a republic. If you understand the Republican aspects, just operate. The United States is on. It's barely 15% of the United States is occupied. The rest is unincorporated and they don't count in the census. But there's people that's living there.
You're listening to the Uncensored Truth Podcast with your brother, Old God and Sam, man. It's dynamic today, man. We really do appreciate, the wealth of knowledge. I wish we can go on for, forever. We still got some more time, but I'm just, covered it.
Yeah, man.
This is really, mind blowing, man. I appreciate this for real, from both of you brothers.
Definitely getting gems right now. If you're watching, if you're sitting there, whatever platform, about Hip Hop News, Uncensored, we're dropping them on all 3, the Uncensored Truth Podcast as well. You're going to have to play back and listen, take my fucking notes. You ain't gonna be able to get this wealth of information all at one time. I know I'm gonna have to play back because brother Khonsu, was just hitting me with some shit. I was just like, whoa, whoa. Brother Darrin, I want to talk to you real quick. As far as SEO and the importance of SEO in hip hop. Now we're in the day and age of 2018 where we are our own free distributors, especially when it comes to music. You see what we're doing on YouTube. We have an open range of open range to get to the masses as much as we want to. The sky's the limit for us. So just talk about the importance of the SEO when it comes to just YouTube, Google, and what you do and how important it is to be seen. I know you elaborated on it a little bit at the beginning, but kind of throw it when it gears toward hip hop, YouTube, and things like that.
All right, cool. Yeah, man. Well, YouTube is the second largest search engine behind Google. And guess who owns YouTube? Google. Mm-hmm. So you have to realize that, and you have to realize that the same rules that would apply on Google would apply on YouTube. So if someone wants to, if you want to be that pizza shop that shows up in Chicago, you're going to have the same rules that are going to apply if you want to be that pizza shop that shows up on YouTube. Now, with hip hop and SEO, they go so hand in hand. because the goal of the artist is to be seen. And the goal of the SEO, the search engine optimization specialist, is to show people how to be seen. And we do that through a series of words, how we word things, certain keyword values. Some keywords are worth more than others. And those keywords have something called buyer intent behind them, meaning the longer the keyword phrase, the more dialed someone is. It's more dialed in that someone is on a particular buying intent. So what's so cool about SEO and what's so cool about music in general is that the sky's the limit, because human beings are the ones that come up with the keywords. Human beings are the ones that come up with the music. So as we both go together, music and words, SEO is always expanding. There's always a new way to find you. There's always going to be a new way to find you, as long as there's the creativity to be able to think of something and to be able to connect with that person, connect with the end user, that person that has that intent. That's where SEO comes into play. I don't know if does that answer the question well or not.
It definitely does. Let me ask you another question to kind of piggyback off that. You're an aspiring YouTuber. You want to try to get yourself in the game. You're an aspiring artist. Is it fair to say without a SEO, your likelier chances of succeeding are slim to none? And it's going that question is going to piggyback to my next question for both of you gentlemen. So do you need an SEO in today's game?
Yes. Just like because I mentioned that YouTube is the second largest search engine behind Google, just like a small business owner would need to have an SEO to help them get found, to find new customers on Google. The small YouTuber is going to need an SEO to help them get found on YouTube. So it's the same rules are going to apply. So just like Brother Khonsu said, with we're all, the artist is its own entity, they're their own corporation. They need to act and move accordingly. If you're a YouTuber and you're your own small entity or corporation, and hopefully that since you got your own YouTube account and you're starting to receive AdSense, that now, hey, you've taken the steps to be seen as a corporation, to be treated as a corporation, and to receive those same privileges that a normal corporation will receive. It's just I can't stress enough how important getting found is to that musician or to that YouTuber.
Dope. Okay, my next question would be to both of you gentlemen, and it comes in the sense of just being your own boss and paying to play. God and I had this real dope pre or post production discussion about just being your own boss and what it takes to put money into your own brand. Being an SEO ain't free. You ain't giving no brothers any hookups or anything like that. Being an accountant, being a financial advisor, real estate, there is no hookups when it comes to that. So talk about the importance. Give some OG advice to the people listening who are aspiring businessmen, businesswomen, musicians, wherever have you. The importance of putting money into yourself and really investing into yourself and investing the right ways into yourself.
Yeah, customers want to see you grow. And they can appreciate that. And I can take that from my coffee business. I started with the popcorn popper and 6 pounds of coffee. And as I roasted coffee and I would reinvest back into the business, that grew my customer base, because my customers knew that I was putting money back into my industry. Mm-hmm. And again, to kind of piggyback, to talk off of what Brother Ogad said about the miseducation of the Negro, Carter G. Woodson. We fail because we refuse to invest back in ourselves. You need to remember that sky's the limit. Like Biggie said, sky's the limit. You can create whatever you want. And that's what's so cool about the American dream. It's not home ownership. It's entrepreneurship. You can go out, stick your sign in the yard and say, you know what? Hey, this is how I'm going to feed my family. That is what's cool about America. That's what's cool about this whole place, this whole thing in entrepreneurship that we live in. And as Black men, we need to realize that and understand that and appreciate that and embrace that.
Brother Khonsu, your perspective.
Man, Darrin said some deep. Yeah, I mean, my mentality, I'm a lot more no nonsense. I'm in the same lane as Darrin is. My thing is high pain tolerance. For the young cats, the young brothers and sisters that's out there, Do not let anybody dictate to you what's money. Do not talk. I don't care what it is. Everything charge. Charge them and charge them high. Come out high and negotiate low. When you come out high, your negotiation price is going to be above average. If you shortchange yourself, nobody going to respect you. Not in business. You got to pay like you weigh. I don't worry about if your price is higher than the next. Your price is what it is. It's understanding that in finance, time is not an option. It's a win. If you stay in long enough and you're willing to sacrifice, you're going to win. But you got to stay in long enough. Sometimes when you get to that point where you think, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I don't see anything happening. And that's when it's going to pop. You have to have a mentality of tenacity. It's got to be a constant drive, because this isn't like working for somebody else. This is an extension of your personality. You actually have to change the person you are to actually run a business efficiently. Your business is going to teach you how to act accordingly, because now your image, how you talk, how you care for people, how you respect people that you don't know is a reflection of how you build your business. Mm-hmm. Business actually teaches you how to be social properly, because now every move that you make matters. Yeah. As an entrepreneur, one of the biggest things is I had to learn to be an owner and not an owner-operator. Some of these universities will teach you to go in there, start a business, get your startup kit, and then you starting on your own, and you ain't got, you absolutely have 1,000% overhead, because if you get sick, your business gets sick. If you got a dentist appointment, your business got a dentist appointment. When you go to sleep, your business go to sleep. That's not entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is perpetual gain and growth by width and height. So if I'm a nationalist-minded black person that wants to empower my black people, I'm gonna hire black people in the gate. The minute I get that EIN number, I know I'm hiring people. I need a TIN. I know that already. So my business model and my business scale are the two most important things in starting a business. Once you have your model and you scale it down, and when you scale, and a lot of people don't, they're familiar with business models, but when I talk about scaling it down, this is something that we don't do as black people. We don't eliminate, automate, and delegate. Those things are very important in scaling your model, because then you can sell water to a whale at that point. It's not going to matter what you sell. It's all about the methodology and the way that you approach a sale. Because as a capitalist, I don't care if I got to sell peanuts, shoestrings, buttons, coats. My model and my scaling going to be premium, so I can fit anything into that model. Music, all of them are the same. They all have the elements of economics and business models and scaling. So if I'm talking to a group of young folks, don't be intimidated. Become a master of business, marketing, and commercial exchange. That's really what I would push, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, once again, man, I really do appreciate this, and I hope that we can continue to have these conversations. I don't want this to stop, and we know, because this has helped me tremendously, and even Darrin, since it's been a year, since we did the website, and he's been helping. It ain't just a relationship where it's like business. Me and him got a personal relationship. He's been kind of mentoring me, helping me with different things and everything. And I've been sharing stuff with him, and he's been sharing stuff. So this is good, man. Brothers need to, be with each other to help build each other up. So I appreciate this, man. I feel real motivated. I don't know about you.
Definitely feel definitely appreciative of this discussion, this build that we have going on. Hopefully we could do this more with Darrin and Brother Khonsu, either that being together or separate. You guys both openly have a platform anytime you want to come on here and talk business and perspective. We definitely enjoy it.
Can I say this quickly?
Absolutely.
I just want to give credit to you young brothers. Oh God, personally, because I seen Oh God from his room.
Facts.
Like the mic kept going out. He would get upset. He got to restart the whole show. His computer wouldn't act right. He couldn't play his videos. Constant criticism from his own peers about the fact that he wanted to be outspoken. And the brother really showed he was a grown ass man amongst boys. Mm-hmm. And I really, I never had a chance, because it's hard to catch Oh God, because he's doing grown shit. And I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate the work that you're doing, the legacy you leaving, the doors that you opening. And normally great men like yourselves, you really won't get credit, man, until you're gone. But at least you're leaving that legacy, man.
I really appreciate that, man.
So I do appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Facts.
Yes, sir. Yes. So we can, end it on that.
Yeah, I mean, you're listening to the Uncensored Truth Podcast with your brother, Oh God, myself, Sandman, Viral Hip Hop News, Uncensored, the Uncensored Truth Podcast. Thank you for our guests, Darrin and Khonsu. We will have both their informations linked in the description box, so you can go check them brothers out. Leave them some love in the comment section. This was definitely a great build, almost an hour into some change conversation. Beautiful. We could go on longer if we wanted to. We got a couple announcements before we get out of here. October 26th, 27th, Caroline's on Broadway. Your brothers, Sandman, Oh God at the Uncensored Truth Podcast will be in the building. TK Kirkland's Gangsta Conversation comedy album release party. The Breakfast Club will be in the building. A number of other dope podcasts, as well as a number of dope other artists, things like that. Should be a real exciting time in New York on Broadway that evening. And that's all I got, man. Thank you to our co-host. Thank you, Oh God, man. And definitely, this was great.
Yes, sir. I want to give a shout out to the team at Hip Hop UN. Of course, my man Darrin, over there, man. We're going to definitely link up Ratel SEO. Make sure, again, we're going to leave the links so y'all can go follow them at their respective businesses, in the description box. This is not going to be the last time. So, you want to say anything, Darrin, on the way out? My bad. If you want to say anything, open up the microphone for you.
No, man. I just, again, I just remember, man, I'm proud of it. That's all I can say is I can't say it enough. Man. I'm proud I am both of y'all. But just to be able to create something, you literally have created a market out of nothing. And have grown it and continuing to grow it and continuing to grow and develop your brand. So, remember we saw you coming from one place, then you're taking the podcast to another spot, then you're taking the podcast here. Right. Your sound is fantastic. You're putting it together. I mean, you're just, as we watch other podcasters that seem to stay stagnant, we can watch y'all, your steady growth and steady development. And as a consumer of that information, can definitely appreciate that. Great job. Bravo.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of, hold on. Speaking of marketing, because Darrin said that we got great promotional packages. We got hats and shit. Everything in the description box right now. Go get all those links. Man, we got a whole store over there, man. Appreciate y'all for show.
Yes, sir. Another episode of Uncensored Truth Podcast. We out, man.
Peace.
Appreciate you, brothers. Peace.
Do me a favor, family. Hit the link in the description box. Purchase your very own new era viral hip hop news hat. Like I said, the link will be in the description box right now. Don't wait. Don't miss out. Grab the hottest thing popping right now. The viral hip hop news hats available in the link in the description box. Grab yours right now.